if there is one opening that I absolutely love to play against, is the Benko Gambit. Now, I know that many of you are afraid of the Benko Gambit. It was also featured as one of the 5 openings that Gotham Chess likes to play the least against. But I have an opening in a way of playing against the Benko that I absolutely love. And that, everybody, is the Nescafé Frappe attack. I'm going to be showing you how, if black doesn't know what they're doing, you can checkmate your opponent in 9 moves. And otherwise, the simple and general ideas of how you can play this Nescafé Frappe attack. It's an opening that's not being played that much, but I've played it competitively for many years, and I've had great results with it. It's really one of my favorite things to play, and I've won against a lot of titled people over the board. I have won a lot of blitz games with this. This is one of my favorite openings, and I did a video about this 10 months ago, but I decided to redo it just to kind of show you some more of the general ideas. And if you want to look at this into more depth, I can either make a more in-depth video in the future, or you could check it out by yourself. But I'm going to show you some of the general ideas, and I hope you enjoy this opening and you want to play it again yourself, and I hope that you stop being afraid of the Benko, because there's nothing to be afraid of. The Benko goes like this. You go d4 is white, black goes knight f6, c4, c5, d5, you don't take here, and now the Benko Gambit is going b5, exchanging this b pawn for the c pawn. So you want to accept this gambit because, you know, I mean, typically when your opponent gambits, you gotta accept it and play on from there, because otherwise your opponent's just going to get a good position. So a6 is the idea. Black wants to open up the a file. And in this position, we go, if we're going to play the Nescafé Frappe attack, knight c3 to defend this pawn with the knight. If pawn takes, which is the move that is mostly played, we're going to go e4. So we don't want to take here immediately. We want to go e4 first. And the idea of going e4 is that we're, 1, defending this pawn, but 2, we're also looking at this pawn with the bishop. So we kind of want to, we might want to take this pawn with the bishop and not with the knight. Now, we're also threatening to go e5 if black doesn't do any productive right now. So b4 is the absolute most common move, just to get rid of the knight. And now we're going to go knight b5. Now, this knight looks a little bit dangerous over here because, or it looks a little bit dangerous for white because this knight is trapped. So if there was a pawn, that pawn would be able to kick away this knight and the knight wouldn't have anywhere to go. But fortunately, there is no pawn and we're fine. Now, it looks like we are giving away a pawn in the center. It looks like we're just blundering the e4 pawn that we just moved. We are not. If black goes knight takes e4, then you're winning a piece, because after queen e2, black needs to move this knight, right? Otherwise, we're going to lose it. They go knight f6. You're going to have this beautiful checkmate, knight d6 checkmate, checkmate in 9 moves, everybody. Here's the checkmate. Now, if black goes f5 to defend the knight, you're going to go f3. And wherever the knight goes, you're going to have the same checkmate. Very beautiful checkmate. So after knight takes e4, you're going to be winning a piece as white. And this is going to be a resignable position for black. So this is how to, you know, this is a trick in this opening. Now, many people will not fall for this trick, but many people will. And many will go d6, which is one of the main moves. Now, the way that I like to play against this is to go bishop c4, just to defend this pawn and not decide where to go with my other minor pieces. And here black can do lots of different things, but the absolute most common moves are to go g6 or knight d7. We're going to start with g6 because this is where there's a lot of fun. After g6, the idea is that we want to make all of the dark squares very weak. So when you go g6, this square is you're already kind of weakened your dark squares. This bishop is going to be very important. We're going to go full-blown attack in the center. e5, explosive. You pretty much need to take this pawn if you go anywhere else. I don't really know where you're going to go with the knight. We're going to be taking here. We're going to be opening up the e file, and it's going to be a great position for white. So d takes e5 is the move that black pretty much needs to go for. And we're going to go ahead and give another pawn because one pawn is not enough. So we're going to go d6 in this position, giving away our other pawn and opening up this diagonal for the bishop. If the pawn does not take on d6, we're going to have knight c7 check, and we're going to be winning the rook. So you pretty much need to take this pawn. And after e takes d6, the idea is that we go bishop g5. And this is a very complicated opening right now, and a very complicated position where you can win this quickly if your opponent doesn't know what they're doing. Well, the idea is that right now here as white, you're threatening to go queen f3, and you're threatening to win either the knight or the rook. So you're threatening to win one of these two pieces. So in this position, what is happening is that we are threatening to go queen f3, threaten this rook and knight at the same time. So this would pretty much be a fork, basically, winning a piece for white. So this is the threat, which is why black needs to either move this rook or defend this knight just to get away of this threat. So let's say bishop b7 would be played. Then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna go bishop d5 in this position, and this looks like we're just giving away a piece, but the idea is that if bishop takes d5, we're gonna go bishop takes f6, and after queen takes f6, we're gonna go queen takes d5. We're gonna still be 2 pawns down, but now in piece material, it's gonna be equal, threatening this rook. And after something like rook a4 or something, we're gonna have knight c7 check, and after king d8, we're gonna have queen b7. This knight is under attack. After something like knight d7, we're gonna go knight d5. And after something like queen h4, we're threatening the queen. We're gonna have, surprisingly enough, there's not really any checkmate right now as long as the queen is on this diagonal. If something like queen e6, then there would be a checkmate after queen c7, queen c8. But I'm not gonna go too much more in depth about what is happening right now. But simply a move like knight e2 could be a great idea, or even because we want to go g3 in this position, but we can't do it because of queen here. So that is why we're going knight e2 to threaten to go g3 and kick this queen away and then go for this checkmate. But basically, this is just going to be a very, very, very complicated position where you're just going to be a lot better. I mean, you're 2 pawns down, but look at this king, look at your pieces. It's going to be very hard to defend for black. If they do not go rook a5, they're going to be worse. And this is an extremely difficult move to see or to know about. But if they do go rook a5, which is the best move for black, then what I recommend is simply to go knight f3, getting the pieces out, h6, and after h6 to simply take over here, go knight c7 check, make sure that the king cannot castle, and then centralize your knight going to d5. Now it's going to be quite hard for black to defend everything. We're threatening right now, among other things, to perhaps take this pawn if they don't defend it with the queen. So sometimes there might be some pin ideas over here. So this is already pretty good for white. You're 2 pawns down. It's a very complicated position, but the king is in the center. The pieces are underdeveloped or undeveloped, and you have a lot of play over here. You're going to castle, and your king is going to be very safe. So let's say they would go something like queen e6. You would just castle, and after something like, for instance, I don't really know. We could go, for instance, let's say for instance, bishop g7. Then we're gonna see a move like, for instance, knight takes b4 is a great move. So we have all of the time, all of these pins towards the queen over here. And if queen takes c4 right now, the idea is that there's queen d6 check. And after something like bishop d7, there's going to be queen takes b8 check. And after something like this, there's going to be queen c7, and this is completely crazy. If something like queen takes b4 to defend over here, we're going to have knight takes e5, and this king is basically just going to get checkmate. It's going to be a very tough position. So it's kind of hard to know exactly how black can defend, and nonetheless, even if they can defend by going something like queen d7 or something, they're going to be in a pretty pushed back position. So obviously, there's something you would have to look into more, but this is absolute, like, pretty much, rook a5 is pretty much the best move that black can go for. It's one of the best, at least. So as you can see, this whole giving away 2 pawns leads to very interesting positions that you can go into more in depth if you want to. But this is just kind of the general outlooks. I know I showed you lots of moves, but you can look into this more yourself. But yeah, there's lots of tactics here. And now I'm just going to show you very quickly. If they go for something like knight d7 instead of g6, then I recommend you just go knight f3. If they go knight b6 now, I would recommend going for simply something like queen. Yeah, I would recommend to just simply go for something like b3. Just to defend this piece. If it's knight c4, you can just take back. And if now knight takes e4, then you can just castle, and you are giving away a pawn. But what matters is your development, and it's going to be very hard for black to develop stuff. If they go g6, you're going to have bishop b2, and you're going to go ahead and be able to just take this whole diagonal. If they go e6, well, this is not something you want to do. They don't want to open up the e-file, so it's going to be really hard to develop this bishop, which is why this is completely fine to give a pawn. So I would just recommend going b3. If they go for g6 in this position, once again, you can go e5. If d takes e5, now you go d6 again. It's the same ideas. But in this position, because this knight is on d7, you can go ahead and take on d6. And after bishop takes d6, queen takes d6, you're stopping black from castling. And if they go for something like queen e7 to be able to castle, then you'll be able to go queen c7, threatening the rook. And you're going to be one pawn down. But this position is going to be very uncomfortable for black because it's going to be very hard for them to castle. If they would go for knight g4 or something to threaten this bishop, you can just go bishop g5 in this position. F6 is not really a move that you really want to do because then you're really never going to be able to castle. But if you don't go f6, what are you going to do? If you go knight f6, well, then you're pinning everything with, or sorry, if you go knight f6, then you're pinning yourself a lot. So there's not really a lot that you want to do, but let's say f6, there's a really nice move here. You can go castling, and after f takes g5, then you have this really beautiful rook d6 move, threatening to go rook e6, pinning the queen. And after something like king d8, for instance, to get out of that pin, you can just bring your second rook in. And this is just absolutely amazing. You're threatening everything. You're threatening to go bishop e6, perhaps. You're threatening, you're threatening so many different moves. It's hard to see what you're not threatening. Let's say that they would just play a kind of, say that they would go rook b7 to defend. Then you can actually just bring your second rook in, and now you're threatening to go h3 and take this pawn as well. You have so many different ideas here. You're also threatening to take this one and then maybe try to go for a checkmate on c8. You have so many different ideas here. Just really nice tactical positions. So yeah, this is a very kind of fast show through of this opening, but it's a very rich opening in tactical ideas and very interesting and very, in a way, not that common at all. It's not really played that much, but it definitely can lead to very, very, very interesting positions that, you know, you can study more. But I try to show you some of the cool tactical lines that white can have. Obviously, black can try to defend. I would say rook a5 is the best way of trying to defend in the g6 line. But otherwise, I would probably say that the best way to defend from this as black is just by simply going knight f3 and going for this whole knight b6, b3 line. Yeah. I would say that this is just the easiest way of defending. There are many people that don't really, in the beginning, allow for these kind of moves and don't go b4 and instead go for stuff like d6 or whatever after e4. But yeah, those just leads to different positions and more common Benko positions. But what I showed you is a little bit more of a different kind of line. That's not seen that often, but I think is really cool, and that's given me really good results. The only difficult part of it is that you gotta remember so many moves you have to remember. Anyways, I hope that you enjoy the video and that you enjoy the lines that I showed you. Many of these lines me and my parents have been looking at for several years, and it feels cool to be able to share this with you and to be able to show you. I really do hope that you find some tactical ideas that you want to bring to your own games, or that you can checkmate your opponent in 9 moves, because that's pretty awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up once again and subscribe to never miss a video and to make Anna Cramling very happy. Have a wonderful day, everybody. See you in the next one.